connections to people close to Trump make the case potentially explosive. And the nature of the evidence, both in terms of the vast amount of video that exists and possible leads that creates, make it complex. Those dynamics have led prosecutors to ask for a 60-day delay, calling the investigation and prosecution of the riot, quote, one of the largest in American history. From Politico's reporting on this, quote, in a 9-page filing lodged in multiple cases Friday morning, U.S. attorneys handling cases stemming from the January 6th insurrection cited the rapidly growing roster of defendants and the enormous cache of evidence they must sift through to get a complete picture of the crimes committed that day. The investigation into the insurrection under new management, the new management of a new attorney general, is where we start this hour with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Carol Leonnig is back, Washington Post investigative reporter. Also joining us, Neil Katyal, former acting U.S. Solicitor General and Georgetown University law professor. And Clint Watts is back, former FBI special agent and distinguished research fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute. Lucky for all of us here at MSNBC, they're all MSNBC contributors. Carol, let me start with you. We get pulled off on our focus on the investigation into the insurrection, but that is misleading, I think. This is an investigation that is going full steam ahead and yielding real results every day. Talk about this request for a delay.
I think you can tell, Nicolle, that this case is exactly as advertised by the new management Department of Justice, the biggest in modern history. The way you can tell that are some of the key data points. There are essentially 900 different search warrants that have already been served. There are 21,000, I believe, hours of surveillance camera, body camera, individual bystander witness camera that have to be surveilled. I've heard from sources and prosecutors in offices around the country, from West Coast to East, who've been contacted asked, would you like to work on this case because it's going to go on for a while? Wow. So you can get the feeling that this is just going to keep building. And in terms of new information that's already come out, I mean, some of my colleagues at the Washington Post have just done amazing work on this. But some of the material that's just come out in the last few days, Nicolle, shows us that they're putting together the bricks of a conspiracy. Mm-hmm. Those bricks include anytime somebody agreed with another person to engage in something criminal. And that conspiracy already has been revealed to show the Oath Keepers leader, who was in contact on a two-way radio with many of the sort of central members of the Oath Keepers before, during, and after the siege. And interestingly, I mean, it's hard to think that this is funny, but interestingly, on that radio chatter, there is a funny moment where one of the organizers says, you know, the president's just complaining. He's not doing anything. The patriots are going to have to act now. They're listening to his speech and they are planning to go exactly where he tells them to go, which is up Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol to stop the steal.
I mean, it is kind of funny. The Oath Keepers are just like us. The president's doing nothing. I want to follow up, though, with you, Carol Leonnig, on the connections between the Oath Keepers and Roger Stone. He was pardoned by Donald Trump. He's one of his closest ideological soulmates in terms of the politics of destruction. And he was guarded by 6 Oath Keepers who found their way inside the Capitol. Is he under scrutiny?
Absolutely. He has to be. These are people he paid or were donated to him to secure him. He happens to be at the ellipse during the foment to the Capitol. I think you hit the nail on the head really well, Nicolle, at the beginning of this, which is the explosive nature of what this evidence could show. We don't know yet. We don't speculate in the news business. But think about what all this video may end up showing. The president, remember, told Proud Boys in the fall, stand back and stand by. Proud Boys are now involved and identified in this event and charged. Oath Keepers, who also happen to be participating and connecting with presidential allies, were heading up to the Capitol. Roger Stone is just a fascinating character because he's a carnival huckster in some respects, but he's been involved in virtually every dirty trick campaign since Nixon. And it's hard to imagine he also wasn't aware of what some of these people were doing. Again, we're going to wait for the evidence. We're going to have to see what happens. but you've got people who are right by him the day of the event, participating in it, and he's also at the ellipse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank all of you out there.
Thank you as always.
Thanks to at home.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for letting us into your homes during these extraordinary times.